going on? This week's Dynamite was July 1st, Wednesday. And I'm here, JackDontCare, to talk about it. I grew up with wrestlers like Sting and Raven and, the Rock and Sock connection, but wrestling became sort of less about the fun and the sport and more about just this silly drama, whatever it was. I love high flying, I love the stories, and of course, the serving, just a little serving of silliness that comes with being into pro wrestling, that comes into the whole show. AEW provided this alternative, and with their vlogs, podcasts, social media, I sort of began to feel connected. I really dug deep and just saw these men and women who dedicate their lives, their bodies, just to put on these amazing performances every week. And I want to say thank you, not only for your stories in the ring, but also outside, because it's been kind of an inspiration for me in what I'm trying to do on Twitch and social media, and just trying to pursue something that I enjoy. Now, I also want to say thank you, the listener, for supporting this podcast. And so let's get right into it. Fyter Fest Night 1. The Not pay-per-view, this amazing show on AEW Dynamite. They've been filming it for the last few months in quarantine. What they've been doing is they film 2 weeks in one night. So that way everyone has 2 weeks to get tested and that kind of thing. So they filmed, I believe, both weeks on the same night, and they divided it up into 2 weeks for us to watch. So this one was live, next one will be taped, I believe. So I'm just going to go in order of everything that happened in the show. There is some changes that are going on with week 2, night 2, and I'll definitely talk about that when we get there. And I'm sure you've already read about the news, so you probably already know. But if you don't, stick around. And as soon as they announce it in the show, I'll talk about it right here in the podcast. So, to start us off, we have Chris Jericho coming out in his Canada sport coat, of course, Canada Day. No shirt. We have 4 guys on commentary, which always feels a little too much to me. It feels like there's too many dudes. I would even like to have just 2, like they have on Dark. But that's kind of how AEW has been doing it lately. They've been using Jericho as a commentator, and I think that's fine. I just don't know why we need 4 people in the commentary booth, the desk. And yeah, I don't know how I feel about it, but it's what they're doing, and it's a lot of fun. It's hilarious. They say such random and wacky things. Sometimes right, sometimes wrong. And, I mean, once again, this is kind of how wrestling is. First match is MJF and Wardlow versus Jurassic Express. In this case, it's going to be Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy. MJF put on a great promo at the beginning to kind of build up the rivalry between them. It's been built up the last couple weeks, but he did a good job sort of setting the stage, if in case you missed the last couple weeks of the show. The rivalry's been brewing for some time now. MJF beat Jungle Boy at Double or Nothing. Wardlow beat Luchasaurus last week. All this stuff has been building up towards Fyter Fest. Now, Jungle Boy himself has been built up in AEW. He didn't win the TNT title, and so looks like they're putting him back into tag matches again. Their team is not ranked, so it seems kind of weird that they're in another tag match. Quarantine has sort of slowed down the 6-man tag matches, but they're still happening. They're still coming here, a little bit, and so I'm kind of excited to see the entire squad get back together. Wardlow and MJF have had a couple disagreements and mistakes. They started back at the Battle Royale, so I'm really excited to see where the future of that storyline goes. So let's jump right into the conclusion. So Luchasaurus pins MJF after a chokeslam, head kick, and standing moonsault. The biggest surprise here in the whole match was Wardlow, I think. He hasn't shown a ton of in-ring skill besides just, I'm a big guy, and I can throw people. But he pulled off some impressive moves. There was a head scissors, a huge senton, and even the moves he took, especially when he got it from that choke slam, was just like, wow. Like I didn't know Wardlow could do that. I don't know if he's been holding back or just training really well, but I'm really excited to see what he could do in the future. Now, Jungle Boy went through the ropes and over 3 times because AEW, and I love them for that. They have at least one match where they have someone repeatedly jumping through or over the ropes. It's just so funny. So parts that I didn't like as much. Marco Stunt was thrown because he's Marco Stunt. He's interviewed with a couple matches in the past, so it wasn't like super strange. It is kind of weird as the good guys, the heroes, but it does sort of come off as cute. Marco is generally treated relatively harmless, except for very specific moments. And so I don't think it really hurt the match that much, but I still thought it was kind of silly. Great match. You love to see Jurassic Express come away with the win. Jurassic Express, for them winning this, they're going to continue to prove themselves to be a strong tag team. And after beating these tough opponents, that's definitely going to set them up. I don't know what MJ and Wardlow are going to do as a tag team. They're not generally known as a tag team. I think they have tagged in the past, but it doesn't really mean a whole lot to them. Storyline wise, MJF didn't get pinned, so he can continue his sort of undefeated record. And I hope this rift between MJF and Wardlow continues to grow. I really want to see Wardlow as a singles competitor kicking some ass, and it'll also give MJF something to do while waiting for maybe a more obvious run for the TNT or AEW championship. Wardlow versus MJF, and then whoever wins that gets a title shot or something. That would be great. That'd be amazing. In between a couple matches, we have Archer and Janela fighting on the outside. This, of course, is building up the rivalry for next week. Fun little distraction. It is what it is. Next matchup was Penelope Ford versus Hikaru Shita for the Women's Championship. Once again, just jumping right in, Kip Sabian actually gets ejected at the beginning of the match. Pretty funny, but I thought it was weird since he sneaks back in anyway at the towards the end. So it felt kind of like a waste. It's kind of like wasting time, which is weird because some of these matches were pretty long, but I think they could have fit some more in, some other action or something else going on in the night. If the women's division hadn't seen a number of injuries recently, Penelope Ford would definitely be top 3 picks as a challenger for the women's title. She's obviously been working on her in-ring skills, and she has been looking a lot better. So, if anything, this gives her more and more experience on TV, which is awesome. As soon as Shita was given the chance to give some speaking promos, I sort of knew she was going to win the title. Quarantine and injuries, once again, have crippled the women's division and their stories, but I think AEW is making the best of it, and with the recent hires, I'm sort of excited to see where Shita can take the title, story-wise. I really want to see her develop as a character. Some things I liked: Shita's knee lift on the apron was a great improvement over her chair and knee combination she used to use. It took a super long time to set up, and it seems she's doing this, which is awesome. Ford did this awesome bridge counter against the missile dropkick. That was just nuts. I totally didn't see that coming. The finish was interesting, but I have seen quite a few AEW matches end this way now, where someone hits their finisher, and then the person surprisingly gets up, and then they just turn around, like hit them with it again, or hit them with something else, and then they immediately lose anyway. So I'm kind of hoping we don't see this finish as often. Some parts that definitely weren't big for me were sort of the slaps, especially from Ford. They looked really bad. But strikes are tough overall. Unless it's, those really strong like forearm hits. I never really liked strikes very much in wrestling. Maybe it's done better in other places, but AEW, there's only a few people who I actually enjoy watching those big strikes, usually the big guys. Sabian comes in for some interference and hilariously throws the kendo stick after getting punched. I like how AEW throws in some comedy, and I generally love it. Wrestling should never take itself too seriously, but I could have done without this particular incident. I thought it was pretty silly. Shida was the obvious pick for a winner, but I think Ford, kicking out of the Falcon Arrow was pretty surprising. Shida then, of course, went back for another knee, and that last one looked like it really connected with her face, and so that made it kind of work for me. Like, oh, she didn't win with the Falcon Arrow. What can she do now? Well, she hit her with another knee, but like this one looked really like the smack right straight in her face. This should be an end to that feud that they had going on for the last couple weeks. And I feel like they kind of left nowhere. There's nowhere left to go. So we have Nyla Rose next week, and hopefully that makes something happen. Because once again, there's not a whole lot going on in the women's division story-wise. I'd like to see someone either beat Nyla Rose, or maybe Nyla Rose has to cheat to win, and then that new person sort of rises up the ranks, even if they don't win. I'm thinking, Abaddon, or maybe someone else. We'll see. Taz comes out and breaks down the paradigm shift. Or sorry, he doesn't come out. He actually does come out later. There's a lot of Taz actually tonight. There's a little video section here, a little segment on how he breaks down the paradigm shift and explains why Moxley will not be able to use it effectively against Cage. Does this hint at Cage winning? Does this hint at Moxley relying more on submissions, which he has done before? We'll see. It's just nice to see Taz on Dynamite either way. Next matchup was Jake Hager versus Cody Rhodes for the TNT title. Note, Hager brings out his wife, who threw water at Cody last week at the press conference. It's a nice little touch to have her out there, but I think Hager needs something more. I think Hager needs someone like a Jericho to be really effective. He's very mediocre personality-wise, and it just seems like AEW isn't sure what to do with him. Also, according to Justin Roberts, he was rock hard. Cody Rhodes' style, is something that you either love or hate. I think I find the stories of his matches compelling, and he seems to be, willing to do anything to put on a good match. He's a little slow, and kind of depending on the storytelling of the match, his match is really only as strong as kind of the person he's fighting and what he can do to build it up. And this was definitely not one of the best. It is an interesting end though. Cody Rhodes pins Hager while inside of the triangle choke, so he's kind of doing the triangle choke on Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is leaning over him and then is able to get his shoulders down for the pin. They set up both of their wrestling backgrounds at the beginning, which is kind of an obvious focus. But still, they had some fun spots on the top rope, and Hager delivering the back body drop on the outside was cool. Some things I didn't like was like how Hager attacked Arn and the ref. He's later fined and suspended for 10 days. This scene's in line for sort of the inner circle and for him being a thug. But I think attacking non-wrestlers doesn't really make him look any more intimidating. It just makes him look like a sore loser. The finish also was a little too similar, I think, to how Cody beat Darby Allin by pinning him out of the coffin drop. So either this is something that Cody is kind of relying on because it's a cool finish, or he's just kind of like, I can think of interesting ways to beat people. I don't have to rely just on beating them with brute strength or submission. So I don't know if this is going to be a theme with him. AEW has been reluctant to take the belts off of anybody, which is good, but I'm hoping Cody doesn't go on into some epic run, and instead maybe we do see the TNT title bounce around a bit before finding someone who can really get another streak going. So at this point, Orange Cassidy comes out to commentary, and he still has blood on his shirt, which I didn't notice at first. It was hilarious. He's doing a slaw thing. He's building up the feud with Jericho, of course. Can't wait till that match next week. So then we have Proud and Powerful versus Private Party. Now, Proud and Powerful are very skilled. They've pissed a lot of people off, but for whatever reason, they haven't really had a chance at the tag titles. They haven't really been in the picture. They've had a couple dark matches, and they were very brutal in those. And I was really hoping to see more of this brutality on Dynamite. I didn't really see it translate over. So Private Party, are the young, high-flying team, and they've recently been under sort of mentorship of Matt Hardy, which makes sense, because if you think about it, Hardy is getting a little bit older. He's not going to be wrestling every week, and him in a position of influencing the younger generation, it just makes sense rather than fighting. So basically, Mark Quinn gets the pin on Santana after a gin and juice. And so what we have is, more high-flying antics, Cassidy spinning over the top rope, many more. Santana or Ortiz doing their usual best. They do some amazing cooperative moves. Quinn jumped up for the gin and juice from the floor, which looked amazing. I don't remember if he's always done it that way, but this one in particular looked really good. Some things I didn't like were some more silly strikes in this match. Cassidy did some pretty weak forearms. Once again, the brutalness of Proud and Powerful didn't really pay off. Like, they were pretty extreme on Dark, and then this match is kind of like, oh, yeah, we're Proud and Powerful. We tried to sneak a weapon in that Matt Hardy grabs, but there isn't really anything I would consider, like, hardcore or brutal about them that I really saw in the Dark matches. So what's the story going forward? Well, Private Party is going to move up the rankings in the tag division, obviously, but with how loaded the tag division is, I don't really see them going anywhere. They're probably just going to be used to boost a bigger team. And same with Proud and Powerful. There's already some really good villain teams. They seem to be more like the new TH2, like a really good-looking tag team that always loses. Not a good week for the Inner Circle overall. They haven't really been the same since the Stadium Stampede, and they seem to be pretty stagnant lately. I wouldn't mind seeing them break up, like just break up the team. Jericho could take more of the commentator role like he's been doing, and maybe we have like the Dark Order rise up as a big way, as sort of the new villain faction. Long term, just kind of throwing this out there, I think it'd be cool to see Mr. Brody Lee sort of sculpt a younger talent into like this perfect weapon and have that person win the title, and then see Mr. Brody exposed for what he really is, a manipulator, and then he betrays his student and then gets the title or doesn't, and then the faction disbands, and then we move on to the next big villain. That's how I kind of see it. It's like these big, long, overarching storylines of these bad dudes coming in, taking control of everything, and then obviously the good guys inevitably win. And we move, but evil always comes back. Jericho and Cassidy. Jericho and Cassidy had to get separated from the commentary table, and Jericho just kind of leaves, which is kind of nice, because that means there's only 3 people on commentary now. More fuel for the fire for next week. So here are the changes to night 2. Here's where it comes in after this match. Moxley and Cage are pushed back to Fight for the Fallen, which is a charity event that's going to be the week after. Renee Young of the WWE was possibly exposed to COVID. She's married to Jon Moxley, so they're taking precautions. So what are they going to do? They have Private Party go against Omega and Page for the tag titles. Inevitably lose, I imagine. and once again just make Omega and Page look like you can't beat them. So Taz does a promo about the change, about the match getting delayed. And he takes a little shot at WWE, which to me is hilarious because it's like making fun of celebrities or world leaders. Everyone knows who you are. Everyone's gonna poke fun at you because you're at the top, and I mean that's just how it is, right? You got to be able to roll with that stuff. So AEW or anyone who makes fun of WWE, I'm all for it. You know, they're the big one. They've been around since forever. I think they can take it. I think they can handle a little joke. Final matchup of the night was the Best Friends versus Paige and Omega for the tag titles. Trent and Chuck ride up to the ring in Trent's mom's minivan, and he also gets a kiss. 10 out of 10. I never want the Best Friends to ever stop just being the best friends. It's just so good. They have been fighting through the quarantine and have 13 matches this year, which is about twice as much as any other tag team on the roster except the champions. They have just been working their asses off, and they deserve a shot. You know, their quirkiness is a great fit for AEW. The champs had one of the best storylines going on in AEW after Revolution, and it looks like there isn't going to be a big betrayal like everyone was sort of predicting between Paige and Omega. So they really need to get rid of this tag team. Even if it's just natural, make them lose the titles or something. That way we can make more space in the tag division. It ends when Paige removes his elbow pad and lands a buckshot lariat for the win. It was an amazing moment. There was a lot of good moments here on the outside, especially when Trent threw Omega onto Paige. It looked really painful. Great looking pile driver by Chuck on Omega as well. And of course, giving the people what they want. A best friends hug. Great exchange between Trent and Paige at the end, kind of going back and forth. Omega and Chuck both out on the outside, knocked out of the match, and it's just kind of this 1v1 fight. What could they improve? I mean, damn, AEW just puts on some of the most amazing tag matches I've ever seen, which is really the only reason why I would hate to see Omega and Paige lose the titles, because we no longer get to see them in tag matches anymore. So the story after this match is basically Omega and Paige being undefeatable. It feels like they're really need to be like a new tag team. They sort of take them on. Enter FTR. They kind of came in at the beginning of the match. Best Friends had their shot. I could see them losing to a team like FTR in the future, boosting them up. And so FTR also came out at the end and gave Champs the beer. Obviously, Omega doesn't drink, so he sort of dumps his, which is hilarious because FTR doesn't take this very well. Everyone kind of rushes the ring, and they don't really fight, but they kind of exchange words. The tag match next week is just going to be nuts. It's going to tell a great story. And the tag division, wow, I see like the whole future is going to be sort of laid out before us in this match. We got Lucha Brothers are back. This tag division is stacked to the ends of the universe. And I just could always watch another AEW tag team match. It was an amazing night. Crazy to think this is just night one of Fyter Fest. It's great to see quality of matches and storytelling on TV. And I'm already looking forward to the next big twist in the growing universe of All Elite Wrestling. Thanks for watching, and goodbye. Stay spicy, my friends.